murderous mishap, Batman. Tiki here, and man, oh man, I've been watching through all of Batman the Animated Series for the first time, and I think we might have got into, well, it's a landmark episode, folks, and I've got a guide here. I've got someone who's devoted his whole life to studying the ways of the ways of the Bat by my side, Dragon.
That's right, folks. Long ago, I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series. One could say serving as his spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
And tonight we're talking about the man who killed Batman. Dragon, this is my favorite episode that we've covered so far. I'm not even gonna beat around the bush with this. This is fantastic. I mean, you want me to? I can do the credits this time around, Mister. We have written by the great, the incomparable Paul Dini. Oh my God, what can you say about Paul Dini? He's written some of the best episodes of the series. Also written one of the most compelling Batman graphic novels in years, but that's a whole different conversation. And then, of course, directed by Bruce Timm, one of the godfathers of Batman the Animated Series, Dragon. Oh man. Oh, Dragon, this is a delight, man. I can't even tell you. This thing is like it's 20 minutes of Martin Scorsese, like Francis Ford Coppola level like new Hollywood gangsters, man. This is like oh, I'm beaming about this one, Dragon. I love this one.
Yeah, this is one for the books for many reasons. Of course, as you mentioned with the credits, this is like the third, I believe, the third teaming of Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. And of course, whenever they work together, magic happens. Because the first time they worked together, Heart of Ice.
Mm-hmm.
Second time, my favorite episode, Laughing Fish. And now this. So whenever these two these two fellows get together, it's just.
Oh God, the Joker is on fire in this episode, man. He's absolutely on fire. God. Of
course,
this episode's so good.
Not only Laughing Fish under Paul Dini's belt, but Joker's Favor, which was the first appearance of Harley Quinn. So
that was also really good. That was really good. I really enjoyed that one.
Oh yeah. All right, so the studio did this. Sunrise, and actually, Tiki, believe it or not, we actually the last 3 episodes of Batcave, there's been a trilogy of Sunrise. This is the
I noticed.
Because there's this one before this. Let's see. Last we had Off Balance, and before that, I believe it was I Am the Night. So like 3 sunrises in a row, and I want to say you can count the Sunrise episodes on maybe one hand, maybe a hand and a half. Let's call it because there's a two-parter in the mix. So let's just Anyway, the point being. Yeah, Sunrise, as I've said before, traditionally when Spectrum's away, Dong Yang will play. I mean, again, prime example, Mask of the Phantasm, it's kind of Dong Yang and Spectrum. The idea is sometimes even when Spectrum went bankrupt, some of their they had layouts on a few episodes as they were kind of like transitioning studios and everything. I think at that time, I forget if it was still under the base. I don't know if it was like when Spectrum had all the boxes cleared out of the place or what. Because when Spectrum. The animation company's so good they went bankrupt because they put so much effort into the episodes for Batman. It's so sad but true. But when they didn't do the animation, they would do layouts, and Phantasm has all Spectrum layouts, which is why it looks so flawless. And Dong Yang kind of did the animation, so it's kind of a marriage made in heaven. So while I do say that, the unsung animation studio in Batman for me is Sunrise. Oh my goodness, Sunrise! They do great work. So fleeting. I want to say let's say 4 out of 5 or like 5 out of 6 of their episodes were all done in season 2, and that's why season 2 definitely is kind of the Sunrise season of Batman. A lot of the standouts are done by them. Again, if you just needed two, Man Who Killed Batman and I Am the Night, just easily, two of the finest examples in terms of where this episode comes from. As you can probably guess from Almost Got 'Em. So Bruce Timm, but especially Paul Dini, the two of them. They're definitely they're tugging on the Almost Got 'Em thread of like let's do an episode with less Batman, like an episode less about Batman, more about where Batman is not so much in the episode, but it's about Batman as a character. So pretty much kind of what we were doing with Almost Got 'Em. But let's make it let's go in gutsier with it. Batman's not dressed up like Killer Croc. Batman's dead. He's dead. He's gone. Killed him.
I threw a rock at him.
Exactly. We killed off the title character at the end of the first act. Let's go with it. So, so essentially, they were kind of tugging on that thread because they loved doing it so much, and that was the exciting pitch. Dini really loved working with, and I think they basically it's Dini he keeps on perfecting the idea. The first time we did something like that was kind of a Rosh Hashanah. How do you say it, Tig? Like the whole like various different perspectives on the stories. Is it Rosh Hashanah or
You
Rosh?
know as well as I do, man. Rashama, I don't know.
Okay, the point
You're
being,
asking the wrong
the
guy.
POV way back in the day was like the first time we kind of changed the story structure a bit, and we've kind of going from there. So, last thing to note, this episode is Mark Hamill's personal favorite.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Well, for the
I
the
can
very,
see why, because there are some very iconic Joker moments in here.
I'm pretty sure it's the whole episode is his favorite, but I know he loves his big scene in this episode. That's the main
Oh,
reason he
of
loves it. So, at the
course.
very least,
Yeah.
his favorite Joker performance is in this episode.
Dragon, the line about him getting Chinese, that's an iconic Joker line, man. I see that all over the place.
I have used that line many times.
Oh, I know you have.
Yes. Oh my God, it's probably the best line ever. Best Joker line in all the animated series. If I had to pick one. All right. Okay.
Alright, so Dragon, usually kind of yada yada over the title card, but I just want to give props to the title card. I love the little silhouette we have, like the beady eyes.
Yeah. It's like a little man in over his head.
Little man.
Little man.
Alright, anyways, sorry.
God, I could hear the flies buzzing around that one. Okay.
I was quoting like Hulk will crush the little man.
Oh, just little man. Anyway. Okay, so let's just dive into this one. Boy, oh boy, this is an excellent one. We got to bet you're biting at the heels to get to this one.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
All right, so we do kind of a frame story method here, where we're framing the action around we're circling the climax of our story, kind of the Act 3 climax, as it were, where it's a rainy night in Gotham. We have this mystery man who we've never met before. He's a one and done. We never see this guy again outside of this episode, which makes it even better when you think about it. Man,
because this guy he's a named character in Batman, is he not?
No, not at all.
Oh no, I'm sorry, but the guy that he's going to is, right?
Yes, yeah, like Rupert Thorne. He was in the Two-Face.
Yeah, Rupert Thorne. That's who I was talking about. Yeah, like he's a named character. We've seen him around before.
So, okay, here's the thing. So we have like this mystery man just kind of running through the dark, rainy streets of Gotham. Love the ambiance, love the atmosphere. It's why I love the
yeah.
series. Oh, okay, gotta love it. We have this
Anytime
great.
we have Gotham in the rain, man. Gotham in the rain is just a recipe for like cool atmosphere.
Live for it. So we have this newspaper headline just kind of falls in the street as our guy's kind of running frantically, so we can kind of like connect the dots here story wise. As Batman slain, like oh my god, that's how you start the episode off. Batman slain. What? So Sid here, I love the theme. I love like this really kind of the sympathetic theme we have playing. Shirley Walker did the music. You had like the prime cut of Shirley Walker music here too. By the way, like it's not just like it's not like the sons and daughters of Shirley Walker. It's like Shirley Walker, man. So we have like it's like oh man, you feel so. I don't even know this guy yet, and I already feel sympathy towards him. So he's running.
This is exactly why this show made the big bucks, Dragon.
Oh yeah, so we build up. No, you're right. The atmosphere, yes.
Yeah.
So we build him up in silhouettes. He says, "Hello, I have to say, Mr. Thorne."
So I love how chummy Rupert Thorne is throughout this whole thing, and it's one of my favorite elements of the episode. Just this whole framing device in general.
I love the dichotomy here. I love like we go from like the cold, unforgiving rain to like the warm fireplace of Rupert Thorne's cushy office. And I love how you gotta remember, this is what's really cool about this in the rewatch. After it's been a while, it said when you look at these two characters, you have these two guys are opposites of the spectrum in the criminal underworld. You have Rupert Thorne, top of the heap, and you have Sid the Squid, very bottom of the Sidney Debris, very bottom of the. Very bottom, like Star. He's not the guy with the Tommy gun. He's the guy who loads the Tommy gun. He's the guy holding like the chain on the Tommy gun. That's who this guy is.
So he's Penguin from Gotham.
Well, everyone has to start somewhere.
He's the guy holding the umbrella.
Yes. Exactly.
All right.
That's where he is right now in Cumberland. So yes, love that dichotomy between these two characters, and I love that he's very like Sydney. He's in there. He's very grateful for the short notice meeting, and you have like two really, and again these two guys being kind of the framing device of the whole story, being very important players and everything. You have two excellent talents in this episode. You have John Vernon, who traditionally plays Rupert Thorne for the kids out there. John Vernon, most famous thing I think, Dean Wormer from Animal House.
Oh yeah.
For the action aficionados, the mayor from Dirty Harry, and for the animation fans, I'm sure Jacob Gulliver is going to love this. He was Doctor Strange in Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Oh, nice, nice.
And he's a lot of people know him as Thunderbolt Ross from the Incredible Hulk animated series, also in the '90s. So that's all John Vernon, baby. So you have that.
The '90s had like a weird resurgence of Marvel cartoons, Dragon. It really did.
Like you wouldn't believe. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're like, we don't have time to go into it, son.
We don't. So again, John Vernon always with that awesome, deep, burly voice. And
put Spectacular Spider-Man on Disney Plus, though, man. I know that's not '90s. I'm just saying.
If they can get on there, then they'd have the world.
That's what I'm saying, anyways.
Yeah, John Byrne with that wonderful voice of his, that deep voice of his, and then you have Matt Frewer. Of course, Matt Frewer, he's Sidney Debris, he's Sid the Squid. Matt Frewer, you and I know from Watchmen.
Oh, do we?
He was Moloch in Watchmen. Remember Moloch?
Oh,
Snyder
God,
one.
you're gonna
have the movie.
Snyder one. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Lindelof one. Okay, now you're gonna.
I mentioned him in the Lindelof one. We saw Matt Frewer in the.
It's been a while, Dragon. You're gonna have to jog my memory.
Remember when Rorschach was interrogating the guy, and he was the enemy of the comedian. The comedian visited while he was drunk, and he terrified him. And Rorschach was interrogating him like Moloch.
Sure. It's been a while, but yeah.
He had a magic gimmick, and the point being, he was the guy with remember the kind. His big line was, the kind of cancer you have that you get better from. That ain't the kind of cancer I got.
Right.
Point being, Matt Frewer, he's a character actor. He's done a whole bunch of other stuff. I should have led with this. Here's the one you do know Matt Frewer for. He was in Hercules. He was Panic from Hercules.
Well, there you go. There's one that every '90s kid knows.
There you go. Point being, you've seen him and you've heard him too. So point being, Matt Frewer, fantastic character. Two really great actors, kind of playing off of each other, complete opposites here. Anyway, so you're right. The pleasantries are wonderful. Rupert Thorne here, I love it. We've seen a really cruel Rupert Thorne with the whole Two-Face story, and I love how now we have this really the refinement, like Demitasse. It's like no, and he's like, sorry about the leather. He's like getting this nice chair all wet from the rain and everything. He won't take off his jacket.
This guy is like Rupert Thorne clearly can't stand this guy, but by the same token, it's like he wants to keep up the ruse as much as possible. It's like it's a slow build. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna be theatrical with this murder that's about to take place, because we know, from rewatching it, we know that Rupert Thorne will turn on this guy by the end of the episode.
Yes, there is a question about. There is a bit of a question about when does he make the choice, but it's pretty safe to assume he's pretty sure this guy he's a big guy, he's gonna make a name for himself. I should be on my guard. And I think it's also he wants to hear the story before he kills him too. So it's like a little bit of both. Whether he's made the decision at the beginning, he kind of is getting there by hearing the story itself. That's confirming what he's going. Point being, yeah, it's he just really wants to hear how did all this happen, man? Tell me.
Maybe he's just genuinely just wants to satisfy his own curiosity about it.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's more the curiosity that maybe evolves into then he's like, okay, well, I've heard that story. Now I know what I have to do. Okay.
Right.
So again, he wants to hear the story of, so you're the man Sid the Squid. You're the man who killed Batman.
Good line to lead with, yeah.
Absolutely. So Rupert Thorne tells him to relax and tell him the story essentially. So then we basically kind of begin the flashback structure here as we kind of show what led to the event that we're in right now. So Sid basically.
I think this flashback structure is just really elegant the way that it's pulled off. It's not really an obvious oh, and now I'm going to tell you what happened. I mean, it's kind of like that, but I feel like we cut back in just the right places.
Yeah, we only cut back during the commercial breaks when we come back from the act. So that's when we just check in and when we get back to our story. So it's not really intrusive. It's not like stopping and starting. It's just okay, well, end of the big portion of the act, and then okay, so big events. Let's get back into it.
Right.
All right. So in the flashback, we learn that Sid, basically, as he frames everything for us here, going to accuse us up, is that Sid wanted to move up in the rackets, and he went to his man Eddie G. Eddie G, by the way, voiced by Robert Picardo. kind of one of Joe Dante's guys.
Eddie G. That's totally just a very gangster-esque name, Dragon.
I love that there are two criminal Eddies in Gotham. There's Southside Eddie, who we heard about in
Oh
I
God.
Am the Night, and there's Eddie G. I love to think they're one and the same, but I just can't make that leap because there might be multiple. It could be like an Eddie and Eddie, like kind of
These
criminal
people sound
brigade.
like they would be they sound like they'd be friends with Felony Carl.
Yes. Oh God, yes. You're there, like
All
if
right.
there's a third Eddie, they could be like kind of like the criminal underworld's Ed, Ed, and Eddie for all we know.
Right. Oh God.
So Eddie G, he's doing a drug run basically for this drug shipment for some mob hotshot. Again, little does Sid know. So let's see. I love this, and this is really great in the rewatch. The first shot that we see in the episode, basically, he's telling the story, and we kind of reveal the environment. The first like fade out into like the new scene is the propane, the giant gas propane tank.
Yeah, I noticed that on
Great
rewatch
setup
too.
for the end of Act One.
This episode, just in general, is a really good one to rewatch.
I'm gonna go as far as to say this. I think this is the best boarded episode Batman the Animated Series ever did. Best storyboarded, best like kind of planned, plotted, like in terms of the motion for the characters, and I think everything's just perfectly kind of like it's kind of in the way it's like perfectly balanced. It's kind of perfectly boarded, you know. All right. So let's see. I love remember the silhouette reveal too. Like we have the men just kind of walking all casual and cool, like they're the freaking Untouchables or something. Like they're at least like that, more like usual stuff.
Can I just say I love the design on the gangsters? Like it's very one and done design. Like we never really see these designs again. But I love how unique they are.
They are quite unique. Yeah. So yeah, they're walking down with the usual suspects or something or like the opening of Reservoir Dogs practically. Yeah, then you have Sid the Squid. Well, I can't call him that yet. I got to build to that. Sorry. So we have Sid trailing in behind him. He's like tripping
Sid
all over him.
is very much kind of like a pathetic. Like he wants to be in the Tarantino movie, but he's failing at it. Like he's just like, hey guys, include me too.
He's the little brother. He's like Mark from Home Improvement. He wants to play with the brothers, but they're just not letting them. It's like, hey, wait for me. All right. So here's what I love about this too. Like looking back on, I love there's a very similar tone or very kind of like a on the slide parable to Killing Joke, if you ask me. I really do think there's a little bit of like a Joker within the origin story of we have kind of our fall guy for the evening. Kind of lumped in there. The idea is that Sid, you're wondering why the heck would they allow Sid to go on this little drug run with them? The idea is that the men, Eddie G, essentially, his logic of bringing Sid is to distract Batman. Batman's kicking the crud at a Sid. We're going to be able to make the drug run, get out, scot-free. We're just going to leave him behind. And again, a little similar to the whole, we're going to use a fall guy as the Red Hood within the Killing Joke origin. Again, there's like a poor guy in over his head who eventually becomes the Joker, essentially, by the end of that kind of heist gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of saw some parables. Maybe I'm pulling on threads. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, given the fact we actually go to Ace Chemical later. I don't know. Just throwing.
No, you're right. You're right. The Ace Chemicals of it all is a good tie for sure. All right.
So it gives him a little pep talk to kind of get Sid's head on straight here. When basically says, hey, if you play this right, you do what we say. Maybe you get a cool mob name.
And then he's just looking like this is a classic gag of like, oh, what should I name him? First thing that I see, billboard for Squid. Squid, that's it. Sid the Squid.
Coburn Calamari, the old Coburn Calamari sign. It comes with Sid the Squid. Now here's the thing.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, here's a fun fact about Sid the Squid, the name here. So again, original character for the show, but we've heard Sid. Tiki, I don't know if you maybe it'd be a deep. I'll be impressed if you remember this. All the way back in Robin's Reckoning, we've heard this name before.
Have we? No, I do not remember.
So here's the real life origin of Sid the Squid is actually from the Batman Animated Series writers' room. Basically, they were kind of having fun coming up with like gangster names, like some fun like bleep the camera, Easter egg stuff. And one of them was like Sid the Squid. They try to fit in Sid the Squid a bunch because they just joke around about like kind of old mobster names, I guess. And the name actually worked its way as like a little Easter egg into Robin's Reckoning, where Tony Zuka had a whole bunch of nicknames, and one of them was Sid the Squid. And so my headcanon for this, you'll get it one of two ways. Both are equally valid, I feel. My headcanon is always that Eddie G is reminded by looking at the calamari sign. Oh yeah, well, I'll give him like one of the kind of the stock mob names, Sid the Squid. I'll give him one of the old mob
Sure, sure.
aliases. And he says his name's Sid, marriage made in heaven. That's my headcanon for it. The other way you can look at it that might fit it also is that maybe this episode takes place before Robin's Reckoning, or again, that's the thing. It's probably might be before Robin's Reckoning, just another alias that after this episode Tony Zuko had used.
All right, Dragon, for God's sakes, that's all very astute observations, and you're running circles around what I was going to say. I was just going to make a rocket power joke. Now, if you're a fan of rocket power, then yeah, Sid the Squid might not be the most flattering name in the world for you. That's literally the thing that I was like chomping at the bits to say, Dragon, but then you got all on this like really deep, like philosophical tangent about the naming. So well done there. Well done, Dragon.
I will give you Tiki, I'm gonna give you all the credit in the world because my head just wasn't there, but now you bring it up, I feel stupid for not having put like why did I think of like Squid rocket power? It's perfect.
Well, I mean, not to mention, not to say it's what the writers were intending, obviously. This was pre-Rocket Power, but yeah, Rocket Power, it is very, the character is kind of like, one could view the name of Squid as an insult if you look at it through the Rocket Power lens.
Yeah, certainly.
All right.
Anyway, but I don't want to. Yeah, your point was fun though. I'll give you all that though.
All right. Thank you.
That is like, I wish I could have thought of that because I was like, oh man, it's a blast from the past. Yes, it's excellent, perfect. All right, anyway, so back in matter. So there might be a connect with the Tony Zuko of it all if you look at that window, or just like maybe the guy's like, hey, I'm going to give him the old mob stock name. What do you know? I'm thinking on the fly right now. Or again. Look at it, just like, okay, he's just putting two and two together. Sid, there's a squid on the billboard. Sid the Squid.
That's how I read it, Dragon. That's how I read it, honestly.
Point being, any of the three perfectly fun. Rocket Power, a bit of a stretch, but fun to the Rocket Power initiates.
Well, Rocket Powers, I'm literally just like referencing, like, hey, remember the squid from Rocket Power?
Yeah. Anyway. So let's see. Okay, so Sid is keeping lookout, feeling all confident and everything, keeping lookout as they're making the drug run down below. And I love this. It's so adorable here. I love how he's just occupying himself with like a little flashlight. He's basically making squids shadow puppets.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! That's such an endearing moment for him.
He's really
just like kind of like making up the legend to himself.
And I love how the legend is kind of like it's kind of his destiny for the episode, where it says, and Sid the Squid stretched his tentacles through the Gotham underworld, which of course is absolutely what he's kind of doing within the episode. He's going to be kind of going all over the place in the Gotham underworld.
Right.
But boy, I'm on my way. And then so again, we establish him as very likable and sympathetic, and again foreshadows the arc of the episode. And nothing's gonna stop me now. And then of course the silhouette of the Batman shows up.
Oh God!
Shoots kind of a zip line out there, and he swoops in.
Dragon. What I love about this zip line moment is it's totally like the average Joe's reaction to a bat entrance. It's just like he sees the zip line, just like what. Hey, well, I wonder what that is.
So, from below, the men glimpse the encounter.
I'm sorry, no. He says his words are even funnier, Dragon. He says, huh, that's weird. Go ahead, sorry.
Right, so the men from below, they're glimpsing the encounter from the ground level, which is a lot of fun too. So they're getting like they're not hearing exactly what's going on up there, but there's like just kind of a fun misunderstanding. So Sid swears basically as if Tiki or I or any average Joe is like in this situation where we're swearing up and no, it isn't what it looks like, and then Batman basically you're trying to say no, there's a lot more connected to this. You don't understand. There's a whole thing.
Oh God.
Basically, Batman wonderfully just he makes it really simple. He's looking at the wonderful kind of simple prism of what actually is going on here. Looks like a drug run to me.
Oh.
Someone's flooding the streets with this trash, and I want his name. So, oh boy, Batman's he's putting, he's being really firm with Sid here, and again, you never in a million years would you imagine like we'd be sympathizing with the criminal in this situation. That's the fun thing of the episode. We're kind of flipping the tables and like, oh god, usually we're like, Batman's scaring the criminal. Son, what happens? What does that look like from the criminal's perspective? That's the real thing.
Right.
So let's see. So Sid begins to back away, and he says, I'm a lookout. That's all I am. I'm nobody." And so he slips on his flash. I love that he slips on the flash, like the symbol of innocence, and like his legend in the whole thing. As he slips, he trips on his flashlight. As we see, he's not really coordinated, and he falls on Batman from a distance, from the ground level. The man interprets this as, "Oh look, the squid's
like he just rushed Batman or something like that."
Yeah, like basically it's like the opening of the show. It's like, oh guys, like leaping on that one guy. It was like, oh, Sid's taking on the Batman. He's got guts, no brains, but he's got guts. So then we have almost this Toy Story Rube Goldberg level of things that transpire on the rooftop right now. So Batman,
oh god,
it's like the window scene from Toy Story with the Rube Goldberg events that go on here. So Batman, he's not like throwing him to hurt him. He's tossing Sid off of him onto a weather vane by accident. The weather vane spins around and accidentally kicks Batman. And this is like us in this situation. Like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't. It's like, says, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. And then Batman just very firmly just says, and for his own self-defense here, he's saying, get back off. So as backing off, he says, yes, sir. He backs off. Unfortunately, he backs without looking. He's backing up. And again, remember, folks, during these rooftop encounters, you're on a rooftop, okay? You're not on the ground. You're on the roof. So Sid falls, and I love Batman's reaction. I love how concerned he is, like, as he rushes over the roof. That's my Batman right there. Yes, love it. Rushes over there, and we have like a
Sid is just like so pathetic, like, help me, Batman, help me. And it's like, of course Batman's gonna help him. There's no way Batman's not gonna try as hard as he can to help this poor schlub.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall.
I'm gonna fall.
Anyway, so this is the far better version of that stupid guard for Batman Forever in a sense. It's boiling acid.
Oh god,
that dumb guy. Anyway, so this is really great. Oh god, I love the structuring. This is again perfectly boarded, Tiki. So when Sid's hanging from like this brick ledge of the building, basically one of the bricks falls. Old building, brick falls and it hits the propane tank and it begins to leak. Like gas starts to pour out of the thing, and then basically Batman's trying to get a foothold here so he can pull him up, and of course the brick is starting to crack, and basically this Sid here is he's climbing up Batman. He's trying to climb up him, and Batman's just like, let go. So basically Batman's just like, can help him out. He's just basically climbing up and tugging all over him. He's climbing on top of Batman here, and as Batman then helps him up, the other brick falls from under Batman's foot, and it basically as it falls, Batman also falls, and basically on the way down, Sid, because he was glomming onto him, he basically the squid's holding the cow. And Batman, we have this POV shot. So I love that we don't see Batman falling, because again, ultimately it's going to be the Brick's POV, as we're going to learn later in the episode.
Right.
I love it. It's kind of a great misdirect to kids out there. It's like, oh god, like we think Batman's falling, and then boom!
Like, oh, there it is. There it is. We saw it. Like, proof that he's dead. Oh boy.
Thinking my favorite thing of the episode, and the way we've been covering it and everything here, is like, chronologically, I love this. It complements I Am the Night so perfectly. Again, kind of this little arc of the Sunrise episodes, if you want to look at it that way. I love that. Batman, one of the best Batman lines ever in the animated series, honestly, ever I've heard with Batman, is that it could be Joker, it could be Joker, Two-Face, or some punk who gets lucky. In this case, punk who gets lucky. Love it.
Right.
What took him out? And that's the truth about Batman. Anything could take him out. Everything he goes up against. Giant robotic dinosaur, giant penny, you name it. Anyway, so big explosion. Everyone's like, oh, guys, the men look at the explosion. Sid's like apologizing for everything. He says, no one could.
But he's just got the cape, man, and he's holding it in such an unintentionally symbolic way. And I think that's what really gets to them, is the symbolism of him holding the cape.
Not just the cape and the cowl, man. It's like, oh god,
right.
He's no longer a man. It's just he's holding the symbol of the man, the thing that terrifies us. Otherwise, just a guy in a onesie outside of this.
Right.
So then of course, the big money line, the line that ends Act 1 here. Sid the Squid just off the bat.
Oh man.
Okay, oh, but then Paul Dini, he loves these stories of the everyman getting caught up in the world of Batman and situations like these. If we learn nothing from a true Batman story, it's that, you know. It's Paul Dini loves, because he probably identifies with that everyman, I'd imagine.
Sure, sure.
All right, so again, each act we're checking back in with Rupert Thorne here, and he's like, "You should be glad, Sidney. You know, you've realized
I love that delivery, by the way. Like, yeah, I think at this point he's still kind of trying to get a read on it. It's like, okay, like this guy, like, what's his intentions? Is he really trying to move in on my territory? Is he just a worm, or what?
exactly. It's a question of like I think at this point I like to think he believes him, but then when the second act transpires, I think that's when he starts like, okay, I think this guy's trying to put me on.
Right, right.
But still, it's like, oh, you should be proud, Sidney. You know, you realize the dream of every criminal in Gotham. Yeah, you got rid of the Batman.
uh,
So let's see. So then, for a moment, since Sid's dream has been realized, he was a big shot. So briefly, as for a night, for a little bit, for like a minute in the night, he was the man who killed Batman. He was a big shot in Gotham. He was like they have all the men cheering and throwing him a party in the bar, like cheer Sidney, Sidney.
I love the atmosphere of this too. I love the whole like like once again, like you can put yourself in this guy's shoes of like, yeah,
Mhm.
that would feel good. I mean, not necessarily the criminal element of it, but just the admiration from other people, the admiration from your peers. And what I love about this is it's such a fall from grace. He very much is kind of like that arc of like, the guy who got everything he wanted, but for a price, almost kind of like a monkey's paw kind of deal.
Certainly, very Twilight Zone in a
Oh
sense.
yeah, for sure, for
Of
sure.
course, the animated series does perfectly to a T most of the time. You know, the whole like Twilight Zone vibe, or kind of the old retro vibe of the animated series. Your Twilight Zones, your Hitchcockian references, a whole slew.
Uh,
Anyway, so I love how the cowl is like on his chair. That's also a really great symbol of the episode. This man kind of sitting at the head of the table with the cape and cowl on the back of his chair. I love it. It's like a little mini throne. All right, so everything's going gangbusters for him. City's a big shot at last. Unconventional means, but he's a big shot before the toughest guy in Gotham moniker brings challengers in the form of giant biker guys.
oh god.
Who gets like, I just had an idea. If I take down the guy who took down Batman, then I'll be the toughest guy in town. So I love this. This is a classic Matt Frewer bit here, where he plays cowardly so well. He says, "You got my vote, Chief." He's just trying to diffuse the tension, diffuse the fight here.
That's a great impression, by the way.
Of who? The Squid?
Yeah, yeah, you got my vote, Chief.
You got my vote, Chief. So, so the gang takes up for Sid. The guy hits him with a chair. You show him what for, Squid? They think, okay, he's gonna take him down like he took down Batman. Of course, they have no idea. Just,
Oh,
but then a brawl breaks out essentially and of course Sid is just hiding. And then I love this as he's hiding and as he's like regretting decisions. Like I love how the cow just kind of falls in front of him, like kind of looks at him almost.
oh God.
The bartender in the midst of all this wanton kind of bar brawling. I love he just like it's a fun little weird bit in the end of it. I love he just like knocks over a little bowl of nuts just to break something.
I forgot about that. What's the deal with that?
It's just kind of fun. No, it's vaguely Bruce Timm
Oh
looking bartender.
God.
It's like knocks the bowl of nuts over. He wants to break something too. It's like, okay, Barbara, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to knock. He's not the bartender who brings out the bat. I'm going to knock some heads. He's not that guy.
That's the thing, man. This episode has some really good kind of like random comedy beats to it.
That it does. That it does.
Uh,
So GCPD arrive.
yeah. And Sid is relieved. I love the little like cheeky smile on his face that when the cops show up. Well, sort of. And then everyone's in the holding cell, like, hey, I got rights here, lousy bulls.
Yeah, they're all jailed for the night essentially. A little like kind of like a one. It's basically they're in the drunk tank. They're in a giant version of the drunk tank essentially. So Bullock. Oh god, this is where the episode is. This bit
yeah.
always hits.
Oh god, Bullock, give it up for Harvey Bullock this episode, man.
Bobby
And
Costanzo.
You know what, Dragon? I'm kind of shocked that we didn't see a moment with Gordon this episode. We hear that he's very broken up about it. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think the logic was that here, honestly, it still affects me just even as is because you're in Bullock of all people is always kind of almost a
Like,
J. Jonah
like
Jameson.
basically the logic is like Bullock can't take how sad Gordon is,
I know
and he
it's a
needs
bit of
to help comfort Gordon.
that's the thing. It's that
And Bullock
Bullock,
just kind of like this more, just like the implication of how sad Gordon is.
especially after like, essentially we have like an episode in between this and I Am the Night. You saw how close Batman and Gordon were, and now you're just like, oh god, Gordon's lost his vigilante friend. Oh no.
Right, right.
So it's that. So basically, Bullock informs Montoya Montoya. There's been a homicide. Who's the victim? It's Batman. Now, here's the thing that always got me about this. This is what makes it even effective without Jim Gordon kind of delivering the news here. Is that Bullock, he's always been kind of a staunch, again, he's always been having this arc of like slowly but surely coming to trust Batman. He's always been
Right,
kind of that
right.
Jonah Jameson figure, like, oh, that Batman, like, we don't need some long
I
underwear.
need pictures of Batman.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's really solemn about it, and of course, like, he knows Gordon's definitely affected by it. So, point being, Bullock, him delivering this news very solemnly, and again, he's not like, weeping over Batman, but he's bummed out about it. It's like, oh god, not him. I never said a nice word to him, but he tried. Like, that guy saved my life in Laughing Fish. I owe a little bit to him, whether I'd like to admit it or not. And of course, the bit that always crushes me was says, "Listen, Renee, the commission is taking it pretty hard." So that's a bit like I can only imagine that. Here's the thing: it would have been maybe a bit of a cop out if Gordon really felt the loss of Batman, only to learn that it wasn't
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
There's a bit of that. I like to think, in my own little headcanon, I like to think that Gordon would probably be in his office, like probably lamenting, like something. It can't be true. I don't think he can be going like that. I like to think Gordon had a little bit of doubt, but he would also be bummed out a bit. I don't know. That's what I like to think. I like that Gordon didn't fully buy it, but I don't know. Anyway, so reverse Dark Knight situations aside here about the whole faking his death and being alive. But anyway. Okay, so it's implied like we have the biker in there. I don't know if it's implied. I never. What's your read on this situation? Remember when the giant biker guy started the fight, he's like smiling at Sid when they say all this news is breaking, and he gives no thumbs up.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. My read on it is like, you know what? Well, now that we're in here, like, I honestly, Drake, I don't have much of a read on it, to tell you the truth. It was just an odd exchange all around. I don't know what to tell you.
I read it one of three funny ways, honestly. Like one, it's like just giving like, "Hey, you killed Batman!" That's the easy way.
Right. Or maybe it's a more nefarious, like, yeah. Oh, you did it.
Basically, I'm gonna rat you. It's either, hey, you killed Batman, or I'm going to rat you out to the cops as soon as they start asking, which I always kind of, that was the main way.
So it's either very congratulatory or very threatening.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's either that, or he broke the news to somebody that, hey, I heard the Batman got killed. He didn't name names, so he basically put the heat on. It's one of those three things. But point being, they all deliver the same message, so the point being, it's just there. All right, so again, I love how solemn Costanza was in that delivery for Bullock. There's excellent performance there. Okay, so Bullock, he begins to interrogate the assortment of them. He's asking everybody, "Hey, you see anything? What are you, Skinny? You got anything to say?" And of course, right before Sid gets a word in there, his attorney shows up.
Nobody say a word. Saul Goodman's on the case.
Wrong attorney.
Right. No. Equally is amusing of an attorney.
Yeah, where's this spinoff?
Harley Quinzel, attorney at law.
So of course we have Arlene Quinzel. Now it's funny. There's a minor. Here's the thing. They didn't know at the time, so it's no one's fault. There is an inconsistency here, but it's one you can easily excuse away. It's that Bullock saw Harley without the makeup on during the Joker's favor, but that's not the problem. The problem is this, that you'd imagine during the whole Harley Quinn origin, which, remember, at this point in time, they had no origin for Harley Quinn. She's like, clown girl, hench girl. They had no idea the whole Doctor and Arkham thing yet. That's what people like to point out in this episode. Wait a minute. How does Bullock not read the file on Harley Quinn and not know that her name is Harleen Quinzel? It's...
Right.
The logic to me is always that when we see the origin down the line, when they eventually do that story, it's like Bullock isn't in that story. I like to think, Bullock, he doesn't know the alter ego, he doesn't know the full origin of Harley Quinn. Just knows her as like the Joker's henchwench, so he just doesn't know. And he just, again, Bullock, he recognizes her. So anyone has any naysayers, I say, well, he kind of recognized her. For all we know, he recognized her once she left. All right, so that's why I'd like to look at it as. All right, so little thing.
I I honestly don't think anyone's putting that much mental math into it, Dragon. I think we're good.
I'm saying, man, it's so rare you'll find like that small 1%ers of people overthinking. It's like, hey,
That's what
wait a
I'm
minute.
saying, man. Like that's like the Comic-Con question. Like, that's season 2. Bullock meets Harleen Quinzel without her makeup before he encounters her in this episode.
I mean, at the end of
Oh,
the day, like
what's the deal with that, Aldini?
the important takeaway is that he vaguely recognized her, and that's all you need. It's fine.
Right,
The
right.
point being, it's kind of a we don't care. I just want to kind of make that note for any like the people
Oh,
put
it's
under.
very much a we don't care on my end.
Anyway, so Sid is released, and again, Bullock fans are familiar with this fun line here. I love this, what the Arlene Sorkin does here. He says, "I think I served you a subpoena once. It was a small subpoena." So, of course, this is it's basically the Harley Quinn now putting a little bit of she's a little bit of like the fun, clown costume Harley Quinn coming out of like the old lawyer persona, like the old persona that she used to present to it, the world there. I like a little bit past and present kind of colliding there. It's kind of nice.
Uh-huh.
It's like a little tip off that, hey, yeah, she's making a joke, a lawyer joke right now. All right, so great shadow reveal in the car. Like Sid's wondering, like, who would bail me out? My mother doesn't even speak to me, and my parole officer's in jail. I want to see the spinoff for Sid the Squid. I want to know all the mishaps that happen
God,
there.
I totally do too.
It's like a short film or something. Anyway.
Right.
So in silhouette, and I love this, Harley Quinn, she begins to pile on the makeup. Begins to pile on the makeup and like powder and everything. Well, you put on a lot of makeup. My boss likes me to wear smile.
God.
Oh boy! Now we reveal.
I'm sorry, I don't know why that's so funny.
No, it's funny though. So she puts on like a little headpiece, of course, like fully Harley Quinn from the neck up, and says, "Wait a minute, I know you. You work for the Joker."
The Joker.
And then, oh my god, I love this reveal so much.
Yeah.
We pan down from this is like the most awesome Joker entrance, like one of the most awesome Joker reveal shots you'll ever see. Where we just pan down, the slow pan down. We play like the Joker theme, and it's like it's great. Like it's more of an organ thing to bring the Joker in here. So Joker has this awesome throne, like a Joker like playing with playing cards. Looks great. It looks. Oh, I think it's a nod to him. Oh my god, I'm just remembering this. Joker's first appearance when he's on like this fancy chair way back during like Batman #1. I think that's what's a reference to. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Wow.
I mean, vaguely.
Just putting that together. Awesome.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same thing. But it's like Joker appears in this cool looking chair. Now this is an even better looking chair, mind you. He's in this giant it's like shaped the same. I don't know. It's a fun little reveal shot. Maybe it's a nod, deep cut nod. I don't know. Point being, Joker in this awesome throne in shadow, like the top of his face is covered, and the first time we introduce Bud and Lou, the hyenas.
I love the hyenas, Dragon. The hyenas are just so up Joker's alley.
Yeah, it was the first time they appeared here. So, the Joker theme playing, you got this awesome throne, you were building him up, and the hyenas. Trifecta. Oh my goodness, so many great things.
I mean, how is that not just a great Joker moment? Like, just hyenas all around.
So I love this. So again, he gets up, we kind of take him out of the shadows, and of course, as he's like, "Welcome, Sydney. It's an honor to be shaking hands with the man who did the impossible, the man who killed Batman." I love
I love that performance right there from Hamill. Just all the resentment in that line delivery. Oh man. Oh, by the way, Joker, you shouldn't be shaking hands right now. Just saying, a little topical humor for you.
To be fair, he always wears gloves, so.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Then he's good. He's probably good.
More so to Sid here. No one should ever shake hands with the Joker, period, because he does stuff like this, where he's a poison pack in his glove. Or essentially, it would have been like killing Joker. If he shook his hand, he would basically have been poisoned with Joker venom, for all we know.
Right.
Anyways, of course, Sid sees and of course, this is great. This sets the tone perfectly for basically Joker's unpredictability is this is the most perfect representation of the Joker's unpredictability ever in Batman the Animated Series. In this episode here, he's constantly Joker's like going left, and you don't know what the Joker's going to do to you. Or he's whoops, sorry, force of habit. So unpredictable. Like, it's like, did he mean to do it? Did he not? Because he really resents him the whole kill of it all, but he hasn't quite reconciled that Batman's dead. It's awesome. I love it. He's like doing it on a whim. It's like unpredictable. It's Danny O'Neill Joker done to a T in a sense, but Dini made his own with that. So, okay, so Sid's obviously, so basically Sid's accomplished Joker's life's ambition, so this could be really dodgy for him, to say the least. So, there's just one problem I have with your story. The lack of Batis Delecti. No body. I haven't found Batis Delect. That's a smart joke. I've always appreciated that Batis. It's cute. So let's see. So we have this. So basically, that's been bothering the Joker. He wants to pull a job tonight, to be sure. And then, of course, his henchman here, portrayed by Maurice LaMarche, by the way. A little Maurice LaMarche action there.
This is a dark gag, man. This is a really dark gag.
So Murphy interrupts the Joker with a stupid question here, which you never want to do, where he says, like, make sure of what, boss? And whenever we talk about Harley Quinn, the Joker versus the real world, like how Joker treats his henchmen, this is an example I'm usually thinking of here. Like, you could always go this way for Howie.
Right.
Murphy here. Want to make sure he bought the cave, of course.
Right, at first, I thought we were literally witnessing a man being eaten alive by hyenas. I gotta say, like, I at first, the imagery here is so dark, it didn't quite register to me that it was indeed a gag.
Well, they wanted to kill him off, but BSMP would never allow
it. Right,
so.
Sure.
But yeah. We do have a fun call, but they do make lemonade out of lemons here.
Honestly. The fact that he does survive and he's just like kind of bandaged up, you're right, it is kind of like it's almost like a cherry on top of the gag.
Yeah. I mean, they made the best they did something even almost, if not better, they did something like, oh man, they made it even funnier. So, one more thing, Murphy. Don't ask stupid questions. And he 6-button Lou on him, and just like, as he's being torn away and assumedly torn asunder. And I wonder how early in the production they got the call, like, add that other gag in there or whatnot, because we have like Harley saying, "I'll get a mop," which is not a good outlook when you hear Harley saying, "Oh, I'll go get a mop."
Well, that's what I'm saying. "I'll get a mop" implies a mess. God, like.
So I don't know if it was the kind of 11th hour sort of thing. Hey, are you insane? You gotta make sure he's okay.
God. Dragon, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was something like that.
I mean, you gotta remember, a lot of the time they have these, like, they have like some egregious stuff as like kind of like a smoke screen, so they get away with some other stuff in the episode. Now, I don't think that's what happened here, but I'm just saying traditionally, maybe this is one they just couldn't quite get away with. Okay, yeah, basically we'll be prepared with the fail-safe. Ideally, we'll take out those scenes, but if they tell us you make sure you don't have them be killed off, then we'll leave them in.
Right.
All right, so let's see. So now we're at the Diamond Exchange, and basically that's basically the heist in question here. Harley Quinn, she's looting the place, she's looting the safes, as the men are stalling the cops, basically giving Batman time to arrive, so they can, hey, look, Batman's alive, we do our thing here, and you rinse and repeat. And any problems with that? Of course, oh god. Well, we'll wait until Batman gets here. Any questions with Murphy? No, sir. Good man.
Good man.
God. Terrified as Murphy is there. Like, no, sir. Just like this. I should mention this. I'll admit, Sunrise, as great as a studio as they are, sometimes there's some animation flaws, but you could say the same about Dong Yang. Sometimes there's going to be like a freeze frame.
Sure.
So I hold no grudges against Sunrise. Like I've always said, Sunrise, fantastic studio. They could never quite get the symbol on Batman consistent, but it was a great studio. But the thing here is what they brought the boards to life. So every Joker pose, like when he sticks the pose, man, when he strikes a line, all be facial animation, makes like a certain pose. It looks flawless. It's like
Oh yeah.
It's like Bruce Timm making the storyboard, or basically, obviously a lot of people making the storyboards, but if this were transcribed to a comic, it looks like the panels brought to life and perfectly realized,
Mm-hmm.
All right, so of course we have the money shot here, Joker pulling out his gun and saying, and if Batsy hasn't gone off to his final reward, we'll make sure that he gets there. So then, oh god, this is where things are good. This is where I'm sure Mark Hamill falls in love with the episode, and I love this line so much. So the cops show off, they kind of seal the place off. I should mention, within the act break too, when we come back, like Rupert Thorne's impressed that, going from penny and dime to rubbing the elbows with the Joker. I'm impressed, Sidney.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people like him, I don't need to know. So,
All
cuts, they
right,
seal off the place.
so imagine a Jack Nicholson Joker breaking into the art gallery, but he's really depressed. That's
Yeah.
essentially what we get here, Dragon.
Oh, yeah. So time has passed, and the Joker is very upset in many ways. He's
I
very
just
upset.
love the contrast of like he's in the like everyone's robbing the place, but he can't enjoy himself. It's a jewelry store, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's a diamond. Yeah, it's basically it's a
Yeah,
diamond.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
right, it's
yeah.
jewelry. It's like a lot of high price jewelry. So Joker's upset, and he's like, he's never been this late before.
uh-huh.
This is where we get into the mega mind of it all too. Like, this is where the episode really
Oh
takes
yeah,
off.
totally, totally.
So like maybe that's subconscious. That's why I love Megamind the way I do because it borrows a little bit from its premise from from this episode. I don't know. So it's just like there's a certain rhythm to these things. I cause trouble. He shows up. We have a few laughs, and the game starts all over again. Only now, he turns to Sid, and he's really upset because now he's sniffing out. Like I was inviting this guy for a laugh just to prove, like, aha, you didn't kill Batman, but now it's all gone. It's not all gone awry because he's like, now thanks to you, I have this terrible feeling he's really not coming. And I love the subtlety in the performance here. I love how Mark Hamill's just these. This is why he's the man. This is why he is the Joker, folks, because he knows just
Oh
when
yeah,
to
oh
he knows
yeah.
when to turn up and go like laughing maniacally, when to be all the charismatic clown that he is, and he knows when to get serious. All right, so look at all the pretties, Mr. J, and this is
Oh God, I'm sorry. For some reason, I feel so bad for Harley in that moment. Like
and
she's
you
so
should feel bad
enthusiastic.
for her.
Yeah, she's so enthusiastic, and then Joker just cuts her down, man. He cuts her down so hard.
I said put them back, Harley. He just says also
That
despond.
performance right there. That I said, put them back, Harley. Just the first put them back, Dragon. It's so subtle. It's so
That's what I'm
subtle.
saying. He just says put him back, Harley, and then of course, oh, you're such a kidding, Mr. J, and he grabs her by like the little pearl necklace thing that she's wearing, all like she's coated in all the jewels, and like she's like, oh look, I just raided all the pretties, and it's like, oh god, it's like coated in there. It's like I said, put them back, and he throws her, and like throws her back, and she's like, ugh, and she's all scared and terrified. Yeah, yeah, sure, Busty, this is me putting them back. And
God.
then here's the money line. Oh my goodness! I mean, the other line's gonna be funnier when we get to it. But this is the other like big landmark line of the episode here. One of the ultimate Joker lines ever devised by Paul Dini. Without Batman, crime has no punchline.
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. Just put that on a bumper sticker, man. Jesus. Iconic.
And that sums up Batman and Joker's relationship. That's what this episode really. I mean, this and Laughing Fish are the perfect examples of the Batman Joker relationship kind of realized in animation, where it's like this is like
Oh,
exactly what it is. We see an example of basically everything Joker's expecting from Laughing Fish, and we've now sucked all of that out with this episode. Without that Joker, he's like a day away from being in the Dark Knight Returns like comatose state where I have no reason to live now. I'm bored as all get out. I got nothing.
right.
So one laughing gas bomb later, they escape and they're off to Ace Chemical for a little memorial. And this image says it all, Tiki. This image just says it all
Oh my
perfectly.
God.
We see a coffin. Inside that coffin is the cape and cowl, all like wrinkled up, basically as close to a Batman's body as you're gonna get. And on top of that cape and cowl, what does Joker put on it?
He puts a kick me sign.
Sums it up perfectly. That again, he's doing this out of love, but still enemy, still arch enemies. It's like
You know what I love about you put the fun in funeral.
again, they've kissed and made
I,
up a little bit in that moment. They go
yeah,
each other
exactly.
cheek.
Like Joker's like, oh, Harley.
Tiki, that's the relationship, man. That's
Right,
Harley and Joker
right,
to a T.
right.
He'll toss her around. She'll be scared. She'll be, but again, he'll keep her on the line with stuff like that. It's horrifying. All right. So then, okay, here's the ultimate funeral scene. Basically, folks, I don't want to break it up too much here. Let's just say that Harley Quinn throughout this, Arlene Sorkin is so wonderful in this
Oh
episode.
my God, Arlene Sorkin, I feel like almost steals the show from Mark Hamill's speech with her hysterical sobbing.
Oh God, just crying as if it were a wedding. I know it's a funeral. She cries like the comical couple. Okay, so we have just Mark Hamill's ultimate performance. This is what Mark Hamill loves about this episode. Probably why it's his favorite Joker episode. Okay.
Oh,
And he still knows the speech by heart, by the way. He gave it like a Star Wars
Well, I'm
celebration.
sure he does. Yeah.
Dear friends, today's the day the clown cried, not for the passing of one man, but for the death of a dream that he would someday taste victory over his hated enemy. For it was the Batman who made me the happy soul I am today. And this is what I love right here. I love when he gets into this because it like speaks to the Batman Joker relationship so much. It says, "How I agonized to thank him. Oh, sorry, how I agonized over the perfect way to thank him for that. Maybe a cyanide pie in the face, or an exploding whoopee cushion playfully planted in the Batmobile."
Oh God.
Oh God! And then of course, but those dreams were dashed by the Weasley little gunsoul in our midst, and they all back up. They're all backing up. They know, okay, this is not going to be good. We're all backing up now. It's like it's now the funeral turned to a revenge scheme. The cowardly, this is where it gets really, it just keeps getting better and better as it goes on. The cowardly, insignificant Gonif, who probably got lucky when Batman slipped in the slime trail this loser left behind. This mound of diseased hyena filth, who's not fit to lick the dirt from my spats.
I just love how as this is going on, like you see Sid's, he just gets more and more panicked, like, oh God, this is not going well for me at all.
And again, this is where the posing, the boarding of this scene is just done to perfection. Where again, this is the best animation for the episode on the Joker, which is he's like pointing and he's like bringing it in. Then of course he completely snaps it and lick the fit to lick the dirt from my spats, and then he reins it in. This is the Joker, the unpredictability, and then he loses it and he reins it in. But I digress, and that's Mark Hamill right there, baby, right there, right there. But the time for sorrow is past, and it's time to look ahead to the future, filled with smiles. And then, of course, some great cutting here. But now he's like, oh, and I know I'll be smiling. And now it turns revenge plot. I know I'll be smiling again as soon as we take that man there and slap him in that box there and roll it. And this is the best pose of them all right now. And roll it into that vat of acid there. Oh, it's just so flawless.
I just love how at the end of it, he's just kind of like, he goes from really eloquent to like, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. Like, again, no time for poetry with this guy.
And again, another Killing Joke connect. We're not only just like paralleling a little bit of the circumstance of that man, but we're literally putting him into the same vat of acid in Ace Chemical. And
yeah, for sure.
Comes out the other side. And again, it's kind of like a cautionary tale of criminals that, again, even if you're a small timer, even if you dabble in the criminal, if you're like the Daniel Wormolds of the Albuquerque verse, you could end up like a Joker if you're not careful. Or in his case, Daniel Wormald ended up like Walter White. It's entirely possible. So Sid begs to be begs as he's thrown into the coffin, and I love these two bits of the Joker. They're silent, but they speak volumes. Where again, great music cue as the somber moment for the Joker is Sid's like, this isn't funny anymore, and then he basically nods to Harley Quinn as if she were the executioner, basically like pulling the lever as she does, pulls the lever. Coffin is like wheeled in on the conveyor belt, and Tiki, this actually happened. Arlene Sorkin is playing Amazing Grace on the kazoo, and they're so this is the only take they did because they got it right on the first try. She did it all the way through without laughing, and they I don't know how because everyone else was cracking up behind the glass. They were all laughing.
Wow, nice.
So in real life, Arlene Sorkin is playing like on the kazoo, and I love this, as silly and ridiculous as it is. And again, it's so dark too because we're basically on Saturday morning television. We're gonna boil a man alive in acid, not in the comical like safe way from Batman Forever, but we're gonna actually boil a man in acid in a coffin on kids' television. A guy who we've kind of liked since the beginning of the episode too.
Right.
and again, I love how Joker, the single tear rolls. I mean, it's such a powerful moment for the Joker, where again, after all this, and that single tear moves, as ridiculous as this is, but also it's like he's just like, this is the death of everything he ever wanted in life. and he's kind of moving past it by killing Sid the Squid here. But it's like, this guy, he ruined everything. But I'm gonna have to find some way to move past it. That single tear drops as we give him the Star Trek funeral, essentially. And then, of course, the ultimate Joker moment in the animated series, the most perfect
Oh
Joker
yes,
moment
oh yeah. This might be
devised.
the most definitive Joker moment ever.
So Sid goes in the vat, and there's a moment the Joker takes a sigh. Well, that was fun. Who's for Chinese?
God, just such a great punchline. Like the Joker's like delivering this whole speech with such pathos, and then it's just like, yeah, well, that's over. It's almost like a shawarma scene. It's almost like shawarma before shawarma.
Oh, absolutely, Schwarm. But that's the thing. It's the perfect non sequitur, but also it's the perfect. Again, it's that Danny O'Neill Joker, and that he's just so unpredictable. You know what he's gonna do. It's like he'll have this funeral where he's so emotionally choked up and so moved by the death of Batman, or kill a man at the same time. And then he's gonna be like, "Oh, okay, that's over. What do we do next?"
God.
Like he'll never be the same again. Okay, let's get some grub. Let's get some Chinese. So back to the coffin. Sid's a goner. No way he's going to get out of it. So like, I love how realistically it's eating through the acid. Again, Joker survives somehow, so I can give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, acid's eating through the coffin a little slowly. I'm fine with that. So it's eating through the coffin. It's beginning to drip in there. It seems like Sid's by all means a goner, but he's washed out. Assumedly, he has washed out a drain pipe, much like the Joker did in his origin. So it's like, oh god, I must be basically. So then we do the link ups, and now we link up to everything where we are now. Rupert Thorne and everything's basically right after that. It started the rain as he ran all the way to Rupert Thorne because he asked Eddie G like who arranged the whole drug drug run, which of course led him to Rupert Thorne. So basically, he's coming to Rupert Thorne, hat in hand, like, please, I'll do anything you want, just get me out of Gotham. I gotta get out of here. I don't want the Joker or anyone else. I don't want Two-Face going after me. Who's next? Anything you want, Mr. Thorne. Just let me. I just want to get out.
Yeah, and just his performance just is like so pathetic that you can't help but be like, oh man, this guy's such a worm. But like, I want him to get out of the situation.
Yep. Oh god, this is so great. So John Byrne just wonderfully Rupert Thorne says, so you're nothing. So you're telling me Sid the Squid is nothing more than a victim of circumstance. Just how stupid do you think I am? And I just love that how he brings the gravitas with just how stupid do you think I am? It's a great double take by Sid, like, excuse me? Where basically Rupert Thorne, at this point in the story, whether it was the Joker portion onward or what, because I think that's where he started to think things were suspect. The point being, after hearing all of this, at the very least, after hearing all of this, he thinks Sid, by all intents and purposes, has climbed up the criminal ladder so much he's now trying to take a shot at the guy who orchestrated the whole the drug the drug shit.
You're coming to me for protection, but really you just want to weasel your way in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he's reading the situation completely wrong, but you really don't blame him for reading the situation this way.
Very incredulous the way all this comes about. The stranger in fiction situation, no question. As Rupert Thorne says, no one's that lucky or stupid. And then, of course, what's Sid's response to this?
Oh God, I'm sorry. I don't have it written down. I'm sorry.
I am honest.
I am. God.
So, sure, Sid, I'll get you out of Gotham in a pine box. Oh man, Sid just can't get out of these pine boxes. Like he went with the Joker, and now with Rupert Thorne. He's a dead man. The whole episode's about death. There's nothing about being killed and about death. So Batman. Oh my God! Here's a bad entrance for the ages, folks. How do you top the bad entrance from I Am the Night, where there's like an explosion behind him? Well, back from the dead. That's how you do it. So.
Pretty much.
So basically, this is great too. I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, no pun intended. So basically, Rupert Thorne, he pulls a gun on him, and we have the framings and
I love how as soon as we see that a gun is involved, I feel like that's the indicator. Like, okay, there's no way Batman's gonna stand for this shit because, I mean, Dragon. Let's not make two bones about it here. Like, even though the whole episode's about Batman being killed off, we as an audience, we know he's gonna make his grand return. There's no question. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Of course. If we can't kill the Joker off, I mean, it's going to take a lot to kill Batman off, and let's be honest.
Right.
All right, so basically, there's this great bit here. I love the framing of this. Where he pulls the gun from him. There's also there's a sly BS&P thing where basically handguns can't be fired until a little bit later when we do the revamp on Batman. They can't be fired unless you're in Mask of the Phantasm. So that's why like we instantly jam the gun here wonderfully. But anyway, so like we pull the gun out and it doesn't fire, but we hear the bang sound. So it's like we the odds are kind of sharing Sid the Squid's like, oh god, I love Sid's reaction here. He's like you checking himself up and down. Like, oh god, was I shot? Because he heard gunshots go off, but that's in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Batman's like taking out gunmen on the outside, like Rupert Thorne's bodyguards. So, and basically, the ultimate Batman is he tosses that guy through the doors, and Batman steps in. They're two of the men who really spend the whole episode talking about how Batman's dead, or in awe as Batman returns with like basically the Batman theme played on a church organ, like the ultimate da 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 da. And this to me, this is what Sunrise did so well, man. It's just like it's very similar to I Am the Night, where they one of the ultimate Batarang throws, where we're even using the Shuriken Batarang, the same exact model of Batarang from that episode too, where Batman, he's just walking in mid-stride as Rupert Thorne goes for his gun, he's about to fire on Batman. Shuriken Batarang, mid-walk, into the barrel, so it's jammed and it can't. We rack focus to win Sid's face and then the gun that's just been jammed by the Batarang. I love it. So as Rupert Thorne's trying to unjam the gun, Batman just walks forward and as the second Rupert Thorne gets the Batarang out of the barrel, Batman twists his arm and disarms him and tosses him across the room into a table. It's awesome. This is what I live for. Batman does this sort of stuff, like him saving Sid a little bit, but also tosses him across the room. That's for the drugs, and then of course, oh, this is so cool here. So he tosses him across the room, like that's for the drugs. He punches Rupert Thorne, and that's. Sorry, no, I'm sorry. He disarms Thorne. That's for pulling a gun. Then he tosses him across the room into the table. That's for the drugs. And then, of course, he punches Rupert Thorne as he tries yet again to reach for the gun. And that's for any I missed.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much I mean, I'm sure you love it too, because I know this is what you live for with Batman, but I love the whole, like, above all else, like he's getting on him for using the gun, man. That's Batman's ultimate, like, cardinal sin.
Yes.
Love that.
Yeah, it's kind of ultimate drug PSA too. Like, this is a bad, no drug. You drugs are tearing families apart and killing people.
Do drugs and Batman will punch you.
Yes. Well, no, he'll throw you in the tables. General crime.
Oh God.
All right. But yeah, seriously, like the Batman disarming with the guns, you're absolutely raw. So cool. Anyway. So Sid, he's very relieved, but also filled with the ultimate question, like, how are you alive? So we have this really nice thing here. We reveal that I swung away from the gas. Like, and of course he had his mask, so he couldn't really reveal himself. So, but in the moment, Batman had a really good idea here. He says, "I'm going to follow Sid ultimately to the drug supply. The guy who's behind the whole drug shipment."
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, so you saved me from the Jokers. Yep, he saved me, and he saved him from the Jokers. He's been kind of Sid's guardian angel through the episode, which is nice.
Pretty much.
So
but Batman, he's not going to walk away. He's not going to let Sid walk away scot-free, though. He's still an accomplice and all that.
So funny though. See ya. Well, okay, it's been fun.
See ya.
And Batman says, "I love that."
Apology and see ya.
I love how Sid takes this though, because he's not like, oh no, it's like he's just taking it with a grain. He's like, yeah, it's bad. Even he saved my bacon.
Right.
Didn't do any of this. I got it over my head. I'm just so glad to be alive right now. It's just he's just like, well, I guess I can't win for losing, huh? And then Batman, this is so wonderful. It's such a rare opportunity. Batman's in a good mood. He's like, I don't know. Yeah. Right environment, a man of your reputation could get a lot of respect. So then we go to Stonegate. Tiki, how's the episode end?
Episode ends with everyone cheering him on, like, yeah, Sid the Squid, don't mess with this guy. That's the man that killed Batman. I love the logic of this, Dragon. It's like because they're all in prison, the word that Batman's alive just still hasn't traveled to them yet.
Well, no, Tiki, they know Batman's alive.
I'm sorry. You're right. He almost killed Batman. Yeah, my bad. Silly me, Dragon.
There is all these great credits too, where he's saying, the guy who nearly off the bat and set Rupert Thorne up, and he made a fool out of the Joker. I mean, those are three pretty big claims to fame right there. He had an almost got him, a story of his own.
Sure.
So then Sid, he's just with a smile on his face, he's walking there, and he says, a big shot at last.
Yeah. All right, so final thoughts, Dragon. Like I said, I do think this is kind of just a Bruce, Tim, Paul Dini powerhouse combo, man. It really is. I mean, we've gone through some pretty great episodes. I don't think this is like the most high concept or over the top episode that we've ever covered, but I mean, I think in terms of writing, it doesn't get much better than this. I mean, just from the, the Twilight Zone of it all, kind of the morality tale. I live for these kind of Twilight Zone morality tales on this show. I'm coming to find out that those are my favorite types of episodes. So, with all that in mind, Dragon, I dig this one. I really do. I really thoroughly enjoyed this one from top to bottom.
Yeah, final thoughts for me. Again, Paul Dini perfected the Batman story without Batman in it with this episode with Almost Got Him. I think the results speak for themselves. I love how we get to explore, the potential outcome, that Batman envisioned for himself in I Am the Night in kind of a really fun way on the rewatch. I'm really getting a kick out of that. With some punk who gets lucky, just can't write any better than that. And we got such fun. We got such fun mileage out of it with Sid the Squid and everything that happens here. It was a great call to explore kind of the moral gray of criminals and through kind of this comedy of errors story that we see with Sid the Squid, and it's kind of like this. It's less one bad day; it's more like one unbelievable day. And again, it's in some ways it's almost like what if Batman could have helped kind of the Jack Napier, like kind of the proto Joker in Killing Joke in a sense. Like what if he didn't scare him so bad he fell off the railing? What if he could have saved him and in some ways kind of rehabilitate him in an unconventional way that he does with Sid the Squid at the end here. And I love with that ending. It's that Batman's not that is not going out of his way to let him go, but he's also kind of he's like, I'm not going to let you go. I'm going to give you a different spin on those. It's rehabilitation through an unconventional way that doesn't really kind of cross any lines for Batman. It's quite clever, really, at the end of the day. We do so much with Batman just as a symbol in this episode, not only to the criminal underworld, but through the Joker. My God, just landmark episode with Batman barely even in it, just simply wonderful. Gotta love it.
All right, Dojas, Dragon, Dojas.
An actor losing his integrity, a familiar face, or several. Can Batman save Clayface before it's too late? Or will it all come up Brando? Tune in and find out. Same animated Bat time, same animated Bat channel. Place.
With Mudslide on next time on the animated series. Take two, sorry. Next time on the animated Batcave with Mudslide. Who's for Chinese?